Hello. And welcome to the Player 3 podcast.
Hey, we all started laughing, not just me.
It's episode 73. And I'm your host, Luke Croft. Alongside me, we have the always visually stunning Larry Hunt.
Hi.
And then next to him, we have Dizzy. That's already his nickname, Cooper.
Hello.
And then over here, we have Benjamin D. Hankins. I don't even know what the D stands for this week. Disappointing.
Hello,
Oh, gosh.
Dexterity.
Wow. I'm not saying you're a disappointment.
Dexterity.
Because I would never say that, because I'm not your dad. But I am saying that the fact that, you know what, Diz, you're also disappointing. Because you said last week.
Because I took up someone else's job.
By the way, Player 3 podcast brought to you by Commiecast. Ingenuitive. No, because I thought we were going to have the Commiecast logo this week. But it's not happening. Ben thinks it's happening right now, but it's not happening right now.
Hey, you better leave me alone and do your show.
Look at Ben with the sass.
And we are the Player 3 podcast. We get together every Monday to talk about video games and push it out to you on youtube.com/Player3 podcast, on iTunes, Podbean, and Stitcher. Leave us a review over there. We'll read it out on the podcast.
Please.
Please leave it. All right. Let's. How are you guys doing? I almost
You're about to
forgot.
skip. It's very important
I'm sorry.
today. I hurt all over from playing Gaga Ball for 3 hours. And if you, faithful viewer of the show, do not know what Gaga Ball is, it's like cage fighting meets dodgeball. You pile into this wooden octagon with your homies, and you slap a ball at each other. And if you get hit below the waist, you're out. That's the only rule.
What's the cage fighting part? Do you punch people?
Well, I mean, you can get by with it if it looks like you were trying to hit the ball and it was an accident.
Is that what you did yesterday?
Look, I wasn't going to bring up accidentally hitting a child in the face, but there it is.
I didn't say it was a child. You said it was a child. But what is a child?
Just a tiny human.
Exactly. So you really just punched a human in the face.
Small adult.
He took it well. He took it better than you took getting punched in the arm.
I'm fine with that. But you also didn't intentionally punch him. So
That's true.
I mean, I'm sure he wouldn't have taken it that well if you'd have reared back.
Yeah.
All right. Well, how are you doing, Diz?
I'm doing well. I haven't assaulted anybody lately, so we're good.
Lately. Anything that you can talk about where the statute of limitations is up on it?
No. I played the fifth.
Ben, what felonies have you committed this week?
0. I did no felonious actions today.
Just today. I've not committed any felonies this hour. This good morrow.
Good morrow.
That's what you say to somebody before you leave when you're going to see him tomorrow, right?
Sure.
Ben,
I'll look it up.
Yes.
Ben, look up good morrow for us and how to appropriately use
I'll
it.
attempt. Your internet kind of sucks, though.
Yeah, because we're seeing everything you're doing in the reflection of that mirror.
Yeah. A lot of inappropriate things.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Every lie you tell, we know. When we've told you, we know.
He's just watching My Little Pony on Netflix. He's a brony.
I'm a brony.
Ooh,
A
what?
jubbrony. What's a jubbrony?
That's jubbrony.
It's the rock term, isn't it?
Yeah.
What's the difference between a brony and a jubbrony?
Can you smell? Have you found out what good morrow?
I'm close, I feel like. I don't understand why the definition is not at the top of dictionary.com. It's an interjection.
Right. Good morrow.
I don't know. It's word origin where it's from. It's from the Middle East.
All right. I feel like Larry's going to be able to handle this better.
There's no
for us.
definition.
Urban Dictionary has one.
There we go.
That's probably not the correct definition.
Archaic, it just means good morning.
Oh. So you say it in the morning. Good morrow.
Good morrow.
We should bring that. All right, 2016.
Good
The
morrow,
year-
El Michael.
The year of good morrow.
Maybe.
Right.
Who knows? Sometimes there are things that happen that are that way.
Let's get this week started like we get every week started with the releases of the week.
Releases of the week. Clap, clap.
This segment brought to you by Commiecast. Ingenuitive.
The mirror.
Okay. All right. I'm a little okay with this because what I can see in the mirror looks awesome.
He just took 2 pictures. That's all he did.
Wait, it's not done yet.
I think you can flip that on an axis,
No,
and then
I
it
don't
should
need to do that.
perfectly line up.
I don't
Okay.
need it.
I'll leave you to it. Make sure you put ingenuity.
We don't have any money for lawyers.
It's nothing
parody.
illegal.
It's a parody.
It's a parody.
Okay.
Commiecast doesn't
But we're also
exist.
saying that. Okay.
It's perfectly fine. If SNL can do it, we can do it. Right?
They did Commiecast?
No, but they make fun of brands all the time.
Okay, that's right.
Name 3.
NBC. That's 3.
Basically, yes.
NBC.
Yeah, there we go.
All right. Releasing on both consoles this week. Homefront, The Revolution.
Woo!
Hey.
You played the beta for this, right?
It was fun.
Tell us about it.
We rode on motorcycles. That was a great way to kill your teammates. It's really the only way you can kill your teammates, to run them over with a motorcycle. It actually was a lot of fun. Very squad-based. You got to work as a team or you're going to fail, so don't really buy this game if you don't have friends. Well, we didn't get a taste of the single-player story, though, so that may be worth getting. I don't know. They can put that in the beta.
Well, you don't really put a single-player part in a beta.
Yeah, you're right. You got me. I just wanted more.
You got me. You got me.
But a wide variety of weapons, really neat. I like the whole defend your home place from evil communists. It's a lot of fun. Great fun. If you like Red Dawn, either the classic or the unimaginative remake, you'll like this game.
Very interesting. Not a whole lot else coming out this week in terms of major releases. So
When's the next Pac-Man sequel?
that is the releases of the week.
Releases of the week. Clap, clap.
That segment brought to you by Commiecast Ingenuitive. All right. I love how uncomfortable Diz is with this. I promise you, this is all perfectly legal.
I just don't. No.
Are you a pizza lawyer?
I'm just a small town pizza lawyer.
I just don't want you to be blown away by 2 images being put together.
Huh?
I just don't want you to be blown away by that.
Hey,
Who would come after? Like Comcast and the Communist Party? Do you think they're going to file a lawsuit?
No. Blown away as an impressed.
Oh,
you should be impressed because this is great. This is good stuff.
I'm only going to be impressed if he takes what he's doing right now and he flips that on its y-axis and makes it look like an actual C. So
He's getting there.
I feel like you got to change that word to commie, though. I don't see that yet.
oh yeah.
Just how about you just pay attention to the podcast and let me finish doing what I'm doing? How about that?
Really, I feel like this is a testament to how necessary your role is.
Oh my God.
You know what? I'm okay with that because I'm over here having a good time.
We are too.
Oh my God.
Whoa!
Larry, you just took it too far, man.
I didn't mean it. I appreciate you and everything that you do.
You know what? I don't appreciate you.
Look, I don't even know how to start the podcast, and I'm not making a joke.
Okay.
He's trying.
He's trying to make amends.
If you can read, you can start the podcast.
But you have to click twice. What's it say first?
Larry just admitted he doesn't know how to read.
That's,
Nah, he just missed the button.
that's why I write in cursive. Like you think, I just can't read Larry's cursive. I'm just scratching scribbles over here.
Like, that word sounds like it has an R in it. All right, let's move on to our latest segment, Topics with an X.
Zopics, yeah, we got some Zopics for you. I didn't clap this time. Sorry, guys. My hands are busy.
This segment brought to you by Commiecast Ingenuitive.
Oh, you know what I should do? I should flash up the work in progress thing. That's what I should do.
No. Don't do that. It may be too close to the actual logo.
Oh, now we need to worry.
I'm also just trying to get Ben to focus on one thing at a time. All right. You actually are going to have to focus on the podcast.
I got you.
Larry,
Talk to me.
let's start over there with you. And by the way, before we move into this segment, we're going to have a little bit of an expedited podcast here because we're recording 2 this week. So the first one you'll get is this episode, and then a little later in the week you will get our E3 predictions with milkshakes on the line. By the way, Ben, you owe Larry a milkshake.
Hey, you haven't paid for his milkshake yet, have you?
Yeah, he has.
Yeah.
He and Seth paid.
I think that's a
nearly
lie.
Immediately.
Lie.
So you still owe him a milkshake. You're the only one left. Diz wasn't a part of this yet.
If I don't pay for his milkshake by the time this milkshake bet is done, if he hasn't redeemed it, does that mean my milkshake is now null and
That's
void?
not on me. To make sure
It's
you're
like an
around me after 8 p.m.
expiring free milkshake coupon, like gift receipt.
Oh, that's
No.
the other thing, Diz. I don't know if you knew that part. It has to be after 8 p.m. when you redeem it.
Oh yeah, that makes sense.
Okay,
that makes
'cause it's
sense.
half
A
price.
coupon.
Okay.
Yeah.
I have questions, but I'll save for the next show.
Before we get into the Zopics, let me talk about a milkshake that I did have over at the Sonic last week.
We've got reviews for you.
So they've got these new creamery style milkshakes, which are just thicker. And I ordered the brown sugar bourbon milkshake, and it was, as some might say, scrumptious. Oh crap! This could bleed into your random question of the week later, but it was delicious. Here's the thing, though. So I ordered the brown sugar bourbon milkshake. They brought it out to me. I start sipping it, and I'm like, this tastes kind of weird, like kind of fruity. Why does it taste fruity? And then I sipped it again, and I sucked a strawberry up through it. So I, naturally take the lid off, take my hands, and just start kind of digging in the cup. Only to discover it's red, and I'm like,
Brown sugar's not red.
brown sugar's not red, but blood is. Is this strawberry blood? So I took it back up, and I was like, you got some blood in my milkshake. And she was like, no, that's just the mixed berry. We got you the wrong one. So then they brought me the real one.
She was immediately
but they didn't
horrified.
let me keep the other one, which is probably a good thing, because I had major diarrhea.
Also, it was full of evidence from a crime.
She's immediately horrified though because you were so like just nonchalant about there being
About
blood
being
in your.
I'm like, hey, this isn't really what I ordered. Some days maybe, and I can see how you would think I'd be okay with this. All right, Larry, let's start with you on the topics. I can't.
You're so derailed.
Okay, hold on.
Derailed.
While we pause here, just a reminder, this segment brought to you by Commiecast. Ingenuitive. Okay.
All right, so this was a really interesting story that came to light. So sources close to Fable Legends development said that Microsoft would not allow Lionhead to make Fable 4. And this article is from
It's from Twinfinite.
Twinfinite
Yeah.
by writer
I didn't do the.
Let's just say Sean Tim. Oh, it is Sean Tim. I guess.
Sean Tim.
Yeah.
Good job, Sean.
Tim.
So, got a few quotes. You put these. You want to read these first two quotes, and I'll read the last quote.
Yeah, dog. I got you. All right. So this is from the sources that are closest. It says, quote, "There's no way anybody's going to be making single-player box products anymore. I want something that's games as a service," end quote. One source remembers being told by Microsoft. Here's another quote. "You make a service game or get closed down. It was the new big push from Microsoft, and I heard that all first-party studios got a similar message. However, some had more of a pushback against it," end quote. So this is Microsoft going to Lionhead, who was like, "We want to make Fable 4," and they're like, "No, you've got to make something that is like a platform that is a service-style game." So go ahead, Larry.
Yeah, you do not want to highlight this next one. We're going to censor it a little bit to maintain our clean rating that we don't have.
All right, cool.
Art director John McCormick said, quote, "I said, look, just give us 4 years, proper finance, give us the chance Mass Effect has, Skyrim has, the games at the time. They're getting 4 years and a lot of budget. Give us that and we'll give you something that'll get you your players. Nah, you've had 3 shots, you've only tripled the money. It's not good enough, F off." That was the censorship, end quote. Well, before that was the censorship. He didn't say that. I said that. That being said, did you guys? I don't know if you guys if you all got a chance to read it, but the direction they were going with Fable was really interesting. This Jules Verne Victorian era kind of deal, and just I know we don't have Microsoft's side of this story yet, but just looking at the direction Xbox has been taking, I tend to believe this. These guys had this great vision for this next Fable RPG, and they were pushed into this free-to-play model that they had no business being in. Talked about how they had this development team that was used to making RPGs, and then they were forced into this genre they had no experience with. And so, of course, it was a nightmare trying to make it happen. Seems like Microsoft killed this game.
Yeah. I mean, it was a complete mishandling of it, because I don't know any Fable fan that saw Legends and was like, "Oh man, yeah, that's something that I can get behind." And like the whole point of the shift doesn't make any sense, because basically the argument was, okay, you have reached the maximum player base that you can from Fable 1 to Fable 3. to Fable 3, you've tripled the amount of players, tripled the amount of money that you've made on these games. You've reached your ceiling here. Now, let's completely rip away Fable from what it grew its audience from and say, now you need to triple size of this audience with a service game, when really all they did with the announcement was make the, number of people that bought the game beforehand angry that they weren't getting a proper sequel to the series that they loved. So it's complete backwards thinking. Like, if you think that your console needs this kind of free-to-play service style game on it, make something worth playing. Don't rip it away from something that already exists and tell it to, whole square peg round hole kind of deal. Like, all right, you got to fit in here, even though it makes no sense at all for you to.
And my thing with this is, like, we definitely know Microsoft was taking this direction at launch, and they had to pay for that decision and kind of go back on it. But it still seems like they're moving that direction under the radar even. Like, I cannot think of a lot of, like, great single player games on Microsoft. But there's so many times where one comes out on PlayStation, like, man, I wish I had a PlayStation. Mm-hmm. So my question to you is, do you think Microsoft is still moving this direction, and is this a misstep for them? Or are they just taking a different direction than PlayStation and just cornering a different market?
I think about Halo, and Halo full $60 release, but they tried to find ways to kind of nickel and dime people into making more money, and they've made an astronomical amount of money through the rec packs and stuff like that. But is there really another franchise that is an Xbox, like a Microsoft-owned franchise, that they've said, like, all right, we're going to turn this thing into a service rather than let it remain what it is? Like, I don't think Gears is going in that direction either. Like, you had Quantum Break come out, and that was a full $60 title, all kind of self-contained. Like,
yeah.
I think one of the most successful free-to-play things on Xbox has been Smite, but Xbox doesn't own that. But that's like a free-to-play MOBA-esque kind of deal. But I think this was really just a misstep, and now you're looking at, they were asking for 4 years and money, and they would have released a game that would have at least sold to that, triple-sized audience that they'd built. And now, you've spent 3-4 years and tons of money on Legends, and you're not going to get anything back for it.
I think, if I remember right, I think it was $75 million that was spent.
No.
I believe so.
I think,
I think
that was
article.
in the story. Dang it. I keep telling it to download Chrome.
And I suspect they just got to this point, like, I'm sure you've been in it before, where you've just invested so much that you want to keep pushing, and maybe you shouldn't, but but they did. But yeah, I guess you're probably right. It was an early misstep with the direction they were going initially, because they aren't forcing other games that way. But this was just a victim to it happened to them.
That's a tough one, because it's not like the game is just the victim. The entire company is a victim.
Yeah.
Man.
Yeah, it says by the end, one source suggests a whopping $75 million went into Fable Legends development before it was finally canceled. And a whole lot of stuff. I can't even wrap my head around how quickly all of, like, just the crap has hit the fan with Lionhead. Like, there were several stories, and I didn't end up putting all of them in the show notes, but, like, apparently Microsoft was approached on multiple occasions about purchasing the Fable license, and they rejected it every step of the way. There's another story that came out that said for Fable 3, people making the box art, they wanted to put a black woman on the cover, and the publishing company was basically like, no, heck no, we're putting a white guy on because that's what people are going to buy. People will buy it if it's got a white guy on it. Like, all of these horror stories coming out about this relationship between Lionhead and Microsoft. And, not only did you fumble a franchise, not only did you lose a studio, but now you have all these PR kind of nightmares that you're having to fight, these little fires to put out. And it may not ultimately be a big deal in the end, but it's time and energy and resources that you're having to pour into, managing the fallout from this. And the number of people who are just willing to talk about everything.
And for Xbox, really, I think every PR thing is a big deal. They've just had so much stacked against them this generation And like we were talking about PR Nightmare just a few weeks ago with the I'm blanking on the conference.
Was it the strippers?
Yeah. So, but this also reminds me of a thing we discussed a little bit last week of the death of the mid-range or the mid-budget kind of thing. Like it's got to be this huge blockbuster or nothing at all, and that can be a lucrative model, but it's also a risky model. And I think we lose out on a lot of decent games that way. I didn't get into Fable till Fable 3. I liked Fable 3. I would have been willing to like this Jules Verne sound like that. That sounds like a lot of fun, but Fable Legends never appealed to me.
And we also have to think that the direction of the Fable franchise, like all of this stuff happened before the reveal of the Xbox One. Mm-hmm. So like Microsoft is still under the same management that's going to come out and be like, yeah, we have a console for people that don't have internet. It's called the 360. You know, those same people are the people that same regime of people are the people calling the shots about the direction of these studios. So, and with like it just being this online ecosystem that they were trying to create at the time, I guess Fable Legends kind of fits into that model. But where Xbox One really had to change course and become more of a traditional console almost immediately after the Xbox One was announced, Fable Legends kind of got left out on an island there to the point where the message of that game doesn't make sense. I wonder how they felt about Fable, the direction of Legends, after the fallout from the Xbox One reveal. Like, oh crap, well they didn't want it in the console, they're not going to want it in this game either. Like,
so it really just slipped through the crack, and that sucks.
Yeah. And so, I don't know, man. All this stuff kind of sucks because Microsoft always seems to be falling behind in terms of exclusives. And, like, what's wrong with a game existing to please the fan base that they've created now? Like, EA's taking that risk with Mirror's Edge. You know, like Mirror's Edge has an appeal to people that didn't play the first one, and I feel like it's going to sell better than the first one did. But they're really making that game because there's a cult following of that game that we're asking for it. And the audience for Fable is much bigger than the audience for Mirror's Edge, I would assume. Anyway. All right, next topic. Watch Dogs 2. I want to talk a little bit about Watch Dogs 2. This is an interesting piece of news. Reports say Watch Dogs 2 will have a different tone and could be Ubisoft's best-selling game of all time. This is from Twinfin. I forgot to copy the link into it, but
I'll try to find it really quick.
It was way down there, so don't worry about it, man. You just keep doing you. You keep doing what you're doing.
I got this is loaded, but I was never mind. It's meta. I'm being very meta about this.
So this is from the article. It says, whilst discussing Ubisoft's lineup of games for the current financial year, Yves Guillemot said that its, quote, biggest title will be Watch Dogs, which will build on the success of the first game. It has the potential to be one of Ubisoft's best-selling games of all time. The game will once again surprise players with a new tone and with innovative hacking gameplay possibilities. We can't wait to show you more, end quote. Did you guys play the original Watch Dogs?
I did not.
Can't say I have.
Okay, well, this conversation may be shorter. All right, I did as well. So, Watch Dogs 1 has this super unlikable character named Aiden Pierce, who is kind of like Kratos, but in a grounded world. Like, he's just angry at everyone.
Well, he's not as cool as Kratos, though, I don't think.
Well, he's as angry as Kratos. He's just angry. He's very shallow. The whole game is pretty, like... It's got kind of a heavy tone. It's a little darker. So the idea of this game having a new tone, they didn't reveal, but some artwork may have leaked of what the new protagonist may look like. Apparently, this game takes place in San Francisco, whereas Watch Dogs 1 took place in Chicago. You look like this real new style hipster hacker guy rather than this like grizzled, kind of pissed off old guy that Aiden was in the original. So when you hear new tone, Ben, what do you think? What do you think they're going to do with this?
Well, I just hope they don't make him like chipper and happy.
Well, it's not Aiden. It's a whole different protagonist. Oh. Yeah. So it almost seems like they would have to go lighter on it. But then I started thinking about, crap, what's that movie? My brother has a huge DVD collection, and there is he had it sorted in alphabetical order. One summer we decided we were going to try to go through as much as we could in alphabetical order, and it was one of the very first ones that we watched. It was about these hackers that had like a computer set up in their garage.
Oh, you talking about the double tap?
I don't remember what it was called.
Anaconda.
Yes, Anaconda. I don't remember what it was called, but when I think about like the new tone that it has, like, is it going to be this weird like buddy cop hacking kind of
like online fraud?
Yeah.
Well, they tried to be dark in the first one, and it wasn't like, I didn't think it was super dark or anything. A lot of the things were, I don't know. I thought the game was kind of dumb, but
I thought the gameplay was fun. I think the idea of the hacking is
that's cool.
Ingenuitive.
I don't think it was implemented as well as it could have been. Maybe they'll do a better job with this one.
Well, and the main thing I want to focus on here is the disappointment that we felt from Watch Dogs was not due to the product that was delivered in Watch Dogs. It was due to the fact that Ubisoft talked as if it was going to be the most innovative game that they've ever released. That it was, and I mean, they had to downgrade all the graphics from the time it was revealed to the time that it released on the console. Like just overtly in your face, evident that it was a downscaling in the graphics and all this stuff. And so it's interesting. Go ahead.
Talking a game up about how great and innovative it is, I'm sure they learned their lesson and they wouldn't do that again.
So my question to you is this. With Yves Guillemot being like, hey guys, this could be the best-selling one of all time, do we fear that they're doing this again?
I do.
Oh, okay.
Well, we were just talking about Fable, like you had this fan base, and then there's a potential you could get something completely different. Like, you got to back the game up if you really think that this is going to meet the expectations of the already established fans. Then that's one thing. But we're seeing that it's going to have a new tone, maybe even a new direction. You got to be absolutely positive that that's going to meet those requirements, essentially.
Right.
So it's a big game. It's a big game to talk.
And here's the difference, though, with this cycle. And I think part of the hype train and part of the decline of the hype train is the amount of time between reveal and release. And with Watch Dogs, it was like 3 years. Whereas with this one, it's going to be revealed at E3 and probably going to release before the end of the year, because this is all part of their 2016 fiscal plan. So is the release of Watch Dogs. So I think there's going to be a lot less time to kind of scrutinize. I also think there's going to be a lot less time for them to, create this crazy, graphically stunning, reveal for it and then have to scale back. Like, I think they have a firmer grasp on what they're actually capable of doing with this game. But to come out and be like, this could be the greatest selling Ubisoft game of all time, which right now is The Division, right?
I think so. I can look it up.
I think The Division is.
What a weird juxtaposition. That's their greatest selling of all time, but it's had such an abandonment rate.
Yeah.
Huh.
So, I don't know. I'm nervous about it. I'll probably play Watch Dogs 2, because like I said, the first one had... I mean, think about Assassin's Creed to Assassin's Creed 2, the leap that was. Like, the original Assassin's Creed, really good core idea, really not good execution. So, and I think with Watch Dogs, they have a little bit more of a leg up in terms of the gameplay was fun. The car mechanics weren't all that great, but the hacking was a lot of fun. The characters weren't very fleshed out. But a lot of that stuff can change from 1 to 2. And so, all right, that was my topic. Diz.
Yeah.
Your turn.
All right. Now, we just got off this huge hype for Battlefield 1. And now here comes the questionable news. I wasn't very surprised by this, but let's talk about it. Battlefield 1 will have microtransactions. You go, EA. You go. In a report, said given that in Battlefield 1, you will see both macro monetizations, such as maps and large-scale add-ons, which I guess will be, maybe some extra, missions for one player. Not sure about that. And micro monetization opportunities. They're saying that it's similar to the FIFA and Madden Ultimate Team. I don't understand. I don't see how that's connected. Luke, can you enlighten me on what Ultimate Team was?
Okay, so Ultimate Team is in every single EA Sports game, and it is basically like a mixture of card collecting and fantasy sports. So you play in this mode, you get a starter pack that give you enough players to just assemble a team. Most of those players are normally, crappy. And you play either like challenge mode or you can play head-to-head online, different ways to unlock points that you can then spend to open up new packs of cards that have different tiers to them. And then, like the higher up you go, the more guaranteed you get to have like a silver or gold or a platinum style card or something like that. So not only can you buy those with in-game currency, but you can also spend real-life money on opening up packs of cards that will unlock players. But then those players have a contract on them. So I pull an Aaron Rodgers card on Madden. He's got 10, 12, 15 contracts, which means I can only use him in that many games before that card disappears and I no longer have it on my deck. So it's about assembling teams, putting them together, and then doing it strategically, knowing that you're not going to have those players forever.
Mm-hmm. Now, the CEO is evidently very mindful about the gamers' worry of this becoming or seeming to be a play-to-win style, but
Pay to win.
Play to win. And he's saying that, we never want to be in a place where there's a belief that we are providing a pay-to-win mechanic inside of one of our games. So he's saying it's not going to be that way. But when you're connecting it to the possibility of it being like the FIFA and the Madden Ultimate Team, I don't see how it's really not a pay-to-win unless all you're doing is opening up the packs and getting skins or just little collectibles for your I don't know, for your liking. I don't know. I don't know where it's going to go because they haven't really given out any hints.
I think that's best case scenario. If everything that's in these card packs or whatever they'll call it are going to be skins. Worst case scenario is like the players. Like me and you may get a bronze pack of cards or whatever, and we open it up, and I get lucky and pull an Aaron Rodgers, and you pull a Brock Osweiler or something like that, and it's like I already have a leg up on you because I have this card, even though there's a limit on how many times I can use it. So my fear with this is like, will we be pulling guns or vehicles or abilities out of these things that we can use or stat boosts or something like that? And I worry about the whole, like, we want to avoid the perception of pay to win because, where's the quote? We never want to be in a place where there's a belief that we are providing a pay to win mechanic inside of one of our games. It's just a really odd wording. Like, why not just say it's not going to be pay to win? We want to avoid looking like it's pay to win.
Oh, okay, I see.
Rather, because they did that with the rec packs too.
I was about to say, I don't even.
343 did that.
Anytime a game like this says something like, I don't buy it. Like, and we said before Halo 5 even came out, we said these rec packs are going to make it pay to win. Oh no, it's going to be balanced out because there's certain ways you got to unlock them in the match. Yeah, that's all well and good, but once you get a tank, you got to suck to not earn a bunch more rec points.
But isn't the way to unlock them is to use real money?
Well, or in-game currency, but even within the match, though, you got to get your energy level up to use or whatever. But
like each piece of equipment has a level on them. So like a rocket launcher is like a level 3, and you've got to play long enough, and your rank resets every match. So you play till you get to 3, and that unlocks your ability to use the rocket launcher. And then once you use it, doesn't it go back down? Does it go back down?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
I don't play a whole lot of Warzone because it takes like an hour.
I don't play a whole lot of it because it's pay to win.
Yeah.
Like, even with that limitation, you still have people who they would not be selling cards for money if it was not beneficial to buy cards for money, Mm-hmm. And they've got a new Warzone Turbo where you just start at low, like all rec packs are available. And I like to call that the give us all your money mode of Warzone.
And the best part about it is they said anything that you can get with the rec points, you'll be able to buy with anything you can buy with real money, you'll be able to unlock with rec points. And that has not been the case. There have been multiple rec releases that you have to pay money for. Mm-hmm. And they fixed that with these, what is it called? Memories of Reach packs. But it's 120,000 rec points to get the Memories of Reach pack. Comparing that to the 10,000 points it takes to get a gold pack.
So 12 gold packs. Am I
Yeah. And
And
it takes you
like 10 games maybe?
I would say more than that, because it's probably
Every 4 or 5 I get a silver. It probably depends on how well you do.
probably.
That was kind of a jerk thing to say.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Way to make a backhanded.
But even for me, like, so 120 games for me to earn that rec pack.
Yeah. So I worry about this, and I worry about it more because I know EA. Like, EA, this is the first time in ages you've had any kind of goodwill. Like, you just had the best week of your life with Call of Duty falling flat on its face with their reveal, and everybody losing their mind about yours. And you're going to come out and say this? Like, why not just keep your mouth shut about it? At least. And I guess this was during a call. I think this was during an earnings report or something, but still.
And with Halo, at least it's split off into a separate game mode. Like, you've got a game mode where rec packs don't matter at all. And hopefully they'll at least have the courtesy to do that.
Yeah. All right. Anything else you want to say about that, dude?
I just don't want it to tarnish my view on it. I'm super excited about it. I mean, the macro, that's no big deal. Yeah, I figured that.
Yeah.
Man, I don't know what to think.
This takes me from I will definitely buy this to well, let's wait and see what that looks like.
And for you, Diz, though, as someone who doesn't really play a lot of multiplayer, I don't think this will mess with your experience too much. Like, because you seemed so pumped about the campaigns and the East Africa theater and all that. I like
Theater.
this won't mess with that. I don't think.
Well, I'm trying to get more into multiplayer games, you know.
Okay.
But because I've never really been a big multiplayer guy. This whole idea of these rec packs and stuff like that is completely new to me, and I just don't know how to handle it yet. But I'm still looking forward to it. You still got me. Oh goodness.
I think Ben might have overdone
Oh
it.
my gosh.
Might have what?
Overdone it. We can see it in the mirror. I don't know if you can see it in the mirror.
I can see it.
All right.
Mamba.
That's it for the topics.
Zopics, there's no more Zopics for you.
All right. That segment was brought to you by Commiecast. Ingenuitive.
I'm just wondering when it's going to start popping up.
I have no idea. I'm hoping it just floats down from the top, just scrolls through.
I'm hoping Ben's metalworking friend has finished and it just slides in behind us, and then we all explode and die.
All right, let's move on to the news.
News with the podcast, guys.
We kind of conflated these two segments into one another. We talked about a lot of news and Zopics, but that's just because we're trying to move through here.
Expedite.
First item on the list. Multi-disc games are now able to be used via backwards compatibility on the Xbox One. This is over on Twinfinite, I believe.
I'm sorry.
Oh, he's struggling,
Multi-disc.
My
guys.
thing is not working. My like zoom in stuff's not working.
So the Xbox One was still using DVDs rather than Blu-rays, so there was limited space as to what games could be. I mean, what could be put on a disc, whereas like the PlayStation 3 used Blu-rays with 50 gigs. So a lot of like bigger games have come on 2 discs. There's actually a whole lot of two disc games on the Xbox, especially at the end of the life cycle for the 360.
I think the Wolfenstein New Order was actually 3.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
This is from Nicole Carpenter, though, over on Twinfinite. New writer over there, by the way. Larry Erb posted to Reddit confirming the Microsoft team had been working to support these kind of titles, talking about multi-disc titles. Quote, I can confirm that the team has done work to support multi-disc scenarios. Be sure to thank the backwards compatibility engineers, end quote. No. Don't tell us what to do, Larry. The first multi-disc game to join the backward compatible games lineup is Deus Ex Human Revolution Director's Cut, which arrived on Xbox One earlier this week. But Mass Effect 2 and 3. Okay. All right. I'm just going to regale with a story here. I will never begin to understand why people just so blatantly lie about things that are so obviously not true. So I'm talking to this guy the other day, and he's looking at games, and he picks up Mass Effect, and he's like, man, Mass Effect's $15 on the Xbox for Xbox 360. This game's old. Like Mass Effect 2 is only $4, and I'm like, well, Mass Effect 1 is backwards compatible. Mass Effect 2 isn't yet. You can't play it on the Xbox One. And he's like, Mass Effect 2 is backwards compatible. I'm like, no, it isn't. It has 2 discs, and the Xbox One can't support that yet. So it's not. He's like, I was playing it earlier today on my Xbox One. You going to tell me I wasn't playing it? Yes. Yes, I am. It's not backwards compatible. But I am excited about Mass Effect 2 and 3.
How was he playing it?
No, he wasn't. That was the point. He was just lying to sound cool about it. Just like last night, I'm on Facebook. I'm in a Facebook group. And this guy's like, hey, guys, I reached this part on my first playthrough. I'm playing on Crushing on Uncharted 4. It's my first playthrough. I always pick the most difficult. I'm like, you have to beat it on hard to unlock Crushing. Like, you can't be playing on Crushing on your first playthrough. Why lie?
When I was a child, the only time I was ever a cool kid in school was when Pokemon was big, because I was obsessed and knew all about the cards. And so people would come and ask me what were good trades. I'm like, whoa, this is what it feels like to matter.
That's why I'm a cool kid now.
For just 1 year. For just 1 year of my life. But my friend Cameron had a neighbor who claims to own every Pokemon card in existence at that time, and we knew that was a lie. And so we start naming cards, and he's got them all. And so then it was one of those things where we just started to ease into making up cards, and he owned all of our made up cards too. And we were like, yeah, buddy, good job.
How old were you?
5th grade.
See, that's a little more acceptable. Like when I was in 3rd grade, I had a vert ramp in my backyard, and I dated Christina Aguilera. Like,
right.
You lie when you're a kid to look cool. But just to be like, oh, I was playing Mass Effect 2 on my Xbox One. Like, you're 30, first of all. Like, I don't give a rip what you're doing on the Xbox One. But anyway.
So ultimately, what's he trying to accomplish? Like, oh man, you're right. I'm gonna knock the price down on Mass Effect 1 for you.
let me take care of that for you. Anyway, so yeah, but multi-disc games, I'm pretty excited about that. Mass Effect 2 and 3 are the ones I think I'm most excited for. All right, next item on the list. Larry, you'll like this one. Cheating in Overwatch will result in a permanent ban.
Oh, wow.
Quote, if a player is... this is over on Twinfinite from Z. That's what we call her. Possibly because we don't know how to pronounce her first name. I don't know. All right. If a player is found to be cheating or using hacks, bots, or third-party software that provides any sort of unfair advantage, that player will be permanently banned from the game. Full stop. Not only does cheating undermine the spirit of fair play that all of our products are based on, but it works to diminish the fun and enjoyment of others. While we are unlikely to publicly acknowledge when accounts are closed as a result of cheating or using unauthorized programs, we have and will continue to monitor Overwatch for exploitative behavior as well as take action as needed to preserve the integrity of the game.
People have already figured out how to hack this game?
Look, man.
Already?
Maybe... I don't think they even necessarily would have to for Blizzard to take this stance, because they've just got, StarCraft, Warcraft, all that stuff. Like, this is probably just becoming how they handle things. And I'm all about that life. Be hard on the cheaters. My favorite was it Titanfall that was like, if you cheat, you can only play with other cheaters.
We won't tell you, but you're placed on these unique servers where we just match you up with other cheaters.
My only thing with this is I always want to make sure that it's definite when someone's cheating, like, and there's a way to appeal it if there's a mistake made.
Yeah, I'm just going to flag every Hanzo player out there.
Yeah, he shot this big indestructible dragon thing.
Building.
Cheating.
I imagine this will be easier to find on PC
Yeah.
than it will be on the Xbox or the PlayStation. But yeah, it's always cool to see. All right, last but not least, Disney Infinity has been canceled, and Disney will no longer publish games. This is over on Twinfinite from Andres Ruiz.
This shocked me.
Me too. It says Disney Infinity seems like one of those series that would practically print money, but it has actually been struggling for quite some time now. Disney Infinity 3.0 sold less than half of what the first installation sold by moving 2.16 million copies across all its platforms as opposed to the 5.03 of the first Disney Infinity game. Suffice to say, Disney wasn't reaping the revenue they needed, and this loss contributed to the company's 6% drop in stock value, which ultimately led to the closure of the studio, the cancellation of the game, and the closing of the publishing arm of Disney video games. Larry, you said this was surprising.
Yeah. Well, I was one of those that just assumed it was doing really well. And in fact, you can probably pull up a show from a few months back where I took the stance that Disney Infinity would ultimately kill Skylanders. Yeah. What kind of time was between the release of 2.0 and 3.0?
A year and a half, maybe 2 years, maybe.
And you have to buy whole new figures, right?
Well, that's the thing. That's the point. That's the reason that half of 3.0 sold over 1.0 is because it's so hard to understand without asking somebody about it. The premise of the entire game is difficult to understand anyway, apparently, unless you're an 8-year-old kid who gets all of it. But, like, my wife likes to play it, and, you know, I like to keep up with video games, and I still am fuzzy about how a lot of the things work, like what the difference between the discs and the play packs and all that stuff is. But you don't have to buy a new platform. Mm-hmm. Your old characters will work on the new models. You just can't use the new characters on the old games.
Okay.
So, like, it's all fully backwards compatible. But I always just thought, like, okay, I've got to buy the starter pack that has the characters and the game and the platform and all that in it. And I think to a lot of people, it was one of those like, well, I don't want to buy the starter pack if I've already got a platform, but I don't know if the platform's going to work. Like, I just don't know if it was communicated very well. And John Vignacchi is the guy who's kind of over all of that sort of stuff for Disney Infinity. And he was on Kind of Funny Games, Colin and Greg Live one time. And you get a chance to ask questions in the chat, and I just asked, like, how do you go about explaining the Toys to Life idea to people who are in their 30s and 40s that are buying these for their kids? And he was like, the best way to do it is to show them. I put it on here. They show up in there. I can use them in there. And that model of advertising doesn't bode well in a market where you walk into a game store and you're just bombarded by tons of games. Like, no one has you want to say, what do I want to play? I can point you to a box, like box art, explain it, first person shooter, whatever, you're on your way, rather than, well, here's this Toys to Life game with a figurine, and you put it on this stand, and you put it in there, and then you have to put this play pack thing on there, and that's going to get you to play the levels. But there's also another thing where you can build your own levels, and you're going to need these discs in order to do that. Like, it's all just very convoluted to begin with.
Okay. Huh. So you think that's probably what ultimately led to this, or?
I think it's partly that. I think it's also partly because Skylanders is a part of Activision, who has the money to lose on certain things, you know, and they can take the risk and release Superchargers or whatever it's called and it not be as successful as the previous games and not take a huge dent, because then they'll go sell, you know, 35 million copies of Call of Duty or whatever. Whereas with this branch of it, because when we think of Disney, we think of the entire company of Disney, but these are arms of the company that don't necessarily share the same revenue stream as the movie side or the park side or the licensure side, or whatever it is. But like, so they are fully dependent on the sales of their one game that they have. And if that's gone in half and the entire division has gone down 6-8%, like there's really no reason to keep that around. Just cut your losses.
Huh.
So am I to assume, though, that the toy video games are still running strong, or is this kind of a testament to it going downhill?
Because we talked a while back about whether we thought it was a fad or here to stay, and I can't remember what stance I took.
I think Lego Dimensions has been successful, but Lego Dimensions has far more adult-style franchises to it.
Oh, yeah.
You can play Ghostbusters, you can play The Simpsons, you can play Doctor Who, Back to the Future, all these different things you can play on that, and that appeals to our nostalgia. You know, those are things that were important when we were kids. Whereas Disney Infinity, they tried to ride the wave of Star Wars, but we've also got Star Wars Battlefront, we've got whatever Visceral's working on, we've got whatever Respawn's working on. Like, we have more adult options for the Star Wars universe than to go play for Disney Infinity. It does raise an interesting question, though, of what's going to happen. No longer are these are these franchises tied up in the Disney Infinity franchise? Infinity franchise. So will they begin licensing these games out again to other companies to say, hey, you can make a Inside Out game, or you can make blanking on a Mulan game. You'd play a Mulan game, wouldn't you? A Mulan SingStar game.
Let's get down to business.
You play a Mulan SingStar game by yourself all the time anyway.
To defeat the Huns.
Hunts.
Huns.
Hunts.
The
Huns.
Larry
Hunts.
and Jessica
Huns.
and Remy.
Look, we never attacked China.
Just want to say it on record.
I'll go on record as saying the Hunts have never attacked China.
Now, when you say the Hunts, do you just mean you, Remy, and Jessica, or do you mean your extended family?
I'm going to go with the whole extended family. I think historically our genealogy has never had the opportunity to.
Haven't we attacked China just from all these Commiecast jokes?
It's more of a Russian.
I'm going to go
Yeah,
on the record.
I'm approaching Commiecast from the Russian side instead of the Chinese side.
And I think the Russians kind of have it coming at this point, guys.
Well, China. The Hunts have never physically attacked China.
There we go. You've never assaulted someone of Chinese heritage.
He's thinking.
Does assaulting one Chinese person constitute an attack on China as a whole, though?
Does not leaving a tip at the K-Walk count?
I always tip well.
It's a Chinese restaurant,
good.
dude.
So you've actually helped them. Good job.
This went to a weird place. What are we even
You have
talking
now
about?
earned one attack.
All right.
You're right. We can do whatever we want now.
It's all about
Put in the logo.
It's all about the scales of justice. All right. Do you have the logo ready for us, Ben? The big reveal?
It's doing its thing right now.
Okay, I
It's
like
doing
what
its
you've
thing.
done.
What do you
That
mean
looks
it's doing
way
its
better
thing?
than whatever you had going before.
Yeah.
But what do you mean by it's doing its thing?
I'm trying to export it, but my page has crashed. It's
It's-
probably
it's
going to get
I'm
flagged
trying
on
to
some-
export it, but my computer is dividing up all of the memory equally among all programs.
I'm probably going to get flagged as like a communist or something for searching all the clip art that
It's sending your entire hard drive content to the CIA right now.
Well, that's true regardless.
Oh, yeah. All right. That was the news.
That was a good time.
News with the podcast guys.
That segment was brought to you by Commiecast. Ingenuitive. Now let's move on to our final segment and everybody's favorite segment, the random question of the week.
Random question of the week for the month for this week.
I didn't even try.
It doesn't make
You stopped
sense.
up.
This segment brought to you by Commiecast. Ingenuitive.
This week it's my question. And my question to you is, what is the greatest delicious flavor? What is the best taste?
Steak.
It can be your favorite
Steak.
food or drink or dessert, whatever.
I don't know. I just wanted to touch you.
I
It was
know.
placebo because it worked.
Oh, did it?
Yeah.
Nice.
Placebo.
Favorite taste. All right. So I've been trying. I'm a big steak man. I love meats. So I've been trying some new ways of cooking the steaks.
Have you tried cold steaks on cold grates?
Oh, I'm so sore. It hurts so
Whoa,
bad.
whoa! Ah! The way you decided to spell ingenuitive.
That was the best transition I've ever seen.
Why do you have a nuclear bomb going off in the background?
Bamba. Give him a gold star.
All right,
That was amazing.
You need to save that.
was
For everyone
absolutely
listening on the
amazing.
audio podcast, go on YouTube, fast forward to the 54-minute mark, and just look at the
Oh
screen.
my gosh.
I also threw a grenade on the table.
And then it just. Wow.
Anyway, I love steak. Been trying new ways to cook steak. Not cold meat on cold grates.
How are you just going back? We can never go back. The show's over.
This changes everything.
That was the finale.
This was our red wedding.
That's going on. That's going on everything. That's funny because you've never watched Game of Thrones.
I know. Did it work?
Sort of.
Okay.
The show went on for now 3 more seasons, so I guess it didn't work.
But what was the pinnacle of the show?
No, it's had a lot of pinnacles.
Okay.
Many pinnacles. Because that's how pinnacles work. You can have multiple ones. All right. Anyway.
That's very ingenuitive of you.
So most of the time, all I do with a steak, salt and pepper both sides. Put it on hot grates, hot grill grates. If it's an inch big, you cook it for about 4 or 5 minutes on each side. Get that thing about medium rare. Still want it a little bit red in the center. Right?
A lot red.
Little
Purple
cool
if
in
you
the
can help
center.
it.
Not purple. Where are
What
you
kind
buying
of
your meat
animals
from?
are you grilling?
I eat only the finest of toucans. But I've had this new way of cooking steak, and I would like to do it for you guys sometime.
I would
I'm
like you to
poor.
do it for me. Oh, I've got money. You've got grates.
It doesn't require a grate. This is in a cast iron skillet. All right. So you get about you want your steaks thick, like an inch, right? So you get that bad boy. All right. You get your cast iron skillet. Kick that thing on high, right? You want that thing piping hot. Here's the problem with so many cooks, Ben. You want to hear this?
Too many cooks can spoil the broth.
No.
Too many cooks.
And this is whether or not you're cooking on the stovetop or in the oven. You have to let things preheat, all right? Like, don't be impatient. Don't be throwing your pie in a 230-degree oven and say it's going to get to 375 at some point. That's not how cooking works. You want it to be consistent.
And furthermore, when a recipe calls for you to let the food rest a couple minutes after cooking, that's not just so you don't burn your mouth. It's because the food is continuing to cook.
Yes. And also, a retention of juices is happening, especially on the meat front. Now, if you're cooking a cake, you probably don't want it to retain juices. All right. So, you get your steak. And here's another key. Don't be pulling that steak straight out of the fridge. All right? You want to let that you want to let the steak sit out on your counter for about half an hour.
2-3 weeks.
Look, you laugh, but if you get a dry room and you get like a whole like hunk of meat and you let that thing start to mold on the outside of it, you cut that stuff away, you get this really deep red color and marbling on the inside, and it's actually some of the best meat that you can have, all right? But you have to have like a specific, climate controlled room to do that in. Anyway, so you get these steaks out. You set them out for about half an hour. You want them to get closer to room temperature because then the center is still cold if you cook it on there, and it just takes too long to cook it through. You get your cast iron skillet, high heat, let that thing preheat. You don't want to be able to hold your hand over it for more than a second without feeling uncomfortable, and that's legitimate. You grease your pan up with just some Pam, right? You salt and pepper both sides. You want big cracked corns of pepper. You throw that thing on. You let it cook 3 minutes. Flip it 3 minutes. Then you take a tablespoon of butter. You throw that bad boy in there, right? You tip the cast iron skillet down. You start glazing. You start basting the steak in the butter. All right? You let that cook about a minute. Flip it. Do it another minute on the other side. For the last 2 minutes, throw a whole sprig of fresh rosemary in there, right? Gets aromatic in the room.
It's poetic.
Gets
Seems like
you
an expensive
gets
recipe.
you a little bit in the feels, right?
I'm salivating.
Yeah. You let that sit. You take it out. You let it rest for 10 minutes. That may sound like a long time, but like you said, Larry, it's still cooking in there. Now on your hand.
Slather it with ketchup.
On your hand here, all right? Everybody, put your hands up, palm to the sky. You want to pinch your hand next to right underneath your pinky, all right? No, underneath your pinky, right by the knuckle, all right? This is medium rare. Now move up a little bit. Sorry, that's rare. Move up, medium rare, medium, inedible. All right? Once you get up there, inedible. So you can touch the steak and really get a sense of how well it's cooked by how it feels with your hand. Now, if you have a super duper fat hand, that may change things, but most delicious flavor in the world. Then serve that with a little bit of just cubed potatoes cooked in some olive oil, cumin, and rosemary. Really tie the flavors in together there.
Can I do mine next?
Tre excellente.
Yeah, when are we going to do a
Now-
cooking show?
As someone who has sampled Luke's steak cooking abilities, I will attest that this man cooks the finest of steaks.
I also serve my boys only the softest of meats.
It's true.
All right, Ben, we'll let you go.
Shrimp.
You're gonna hear mine. I'm gonna walk you through how to make mine too. Okay.
Oh gosh, here we go.
It's real good.
Here we go. How to make a bowl of cereal in 14 million steps.
All right. First off, what you're gonna need to do, you're gonna need to get yourself a car. If you don't have a car, you need some kind of vehicle of transport, whether that be a bike or a moped or a scooter, whatever it is you want to use
Will my
to
feet
drive.
work?
Huh?
Will my feet work?
Your feet will work. Yeah, sure. It depends on the
Skateboard?
distance that you're leaving from, because it's gonna take you a while to get here if you're walking. You wanna crank that bad boy up or crank your feet up. That means you put shoes on.
My feet are ready. That means you put shoes.
Crank those bad boys up. Some may argue that the feet is the best way to get here because it increases the appetite. You're gonna walk on down to the friendly Clarence's Steakhouse. You're gonna walk in. You're gonna walk in. You're gonna ask one of the lovely ladies behind the counter for a table.
She's gonna walk you past at least 10 tables of everyone getting a senior discount.
And they're gonna politely yell at you for being too young, and you're probably doing something that's not needed to happen.
Clarence,
Then they're gonna
Excuse me, you kind lad. You're much too young for this establishment.
where
then
you
the-
have to specify that you do not want your food pre-chewed.
Then they're gonna sit you down. You're gonna sit down. This is the important part, okay? Once you sit down, the waitress is gonna come and ask you what you want to drink.
Hey,
You tell her nothing, and I.
No, you say nothing, or you just don't even acknowledge her existence.
Do not acknowledge her.
She is a succubus. She will get your soul from you.
You don't want the first waitress. You want the second one.
I don't even want to answer. There's no way I can answer.
2 or 3 times of her coming back and you not responding will get you the second waitress. Once the second waitress comes, you politely order a water and chicken and dumplings from the menu. After 5 minutes of polite conversation with your significant other, your meal will arrive and you'll experience the most delicate, tasty deliciousness there is to offer on this planet.
And then don't leave a tip, right?
Don't leave a tip.
Because they get shared with the first waitress.
If you can slip a 5 spot to the second waitress, that works. But no tip for the first waitress.
Wow. I legitimately thought you were going to talk to us about how to make a bowl of Raisin Bran.
I do love Raisin Bran. Raisin Bran is delicious.
Cream soda.
Vanilla.
That's it. All right, guys. We're on the Plant B podcast.
Cream soda is just the finest liquid ever forged by you.
You spelled engine. It looks like a Greek word. Oh, man. Go ahead. Sorry.
And if anyone ever sees me take that first sip of a bottle of cream soda, I'm sure they feel uncomfortable.
Do you ever put your cream soda in the freezer? But you can only leave it in there for a couple hours.
Right.
You unscrew the cap, and it immediately becomes a cream soda slushy.
Yes.
It's amazing.
You've done that for me. You also left it in for more than a couple hours one time, and I had
Wait,
to
wait,
clean
wait,
glass
wait,
out of
wait,
my
wait,
freezer.
wait.
True.
You said, glass bottles can't freeze in the freezer.
First of all, that is exactly how I said it. Second of all, I probably did say that. Third of all, it was your mistake for believing me. Yours is vanilla?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like,
I love it.
just anything vanilla flavored?
Yeah, like the vanilla bean or just vanilla ice cream, whatever. I'm there.
Vanilla wafers?
Are they called Nilla wafers?
You got me. Vanilla dog turds.
Never
Vanillas.
seen them. You mean them when they sit them sitting out for a long time and kind of get that whiteness
No,
to
if
it?
I add vanilla extract to a dog turd, would you eat it?
I'm just gonna say no.
Would you rather eat
Oh
a
no!
turd flavored brownie or a
Turd
brownie
flavored
flavored
vanilla.
Turd flavored vanilla or vanilla flavored turd?
Turd or vanilla.
No, that'd be kind of
You
bitter.
know I always go with eating the poop flavor because I'm not gonna ingest an actual turd.
What if it's your turd? Like, you know where
Then
it's
it's in a cup and like soup.
It's like a melted frosty.
It's easier.
Not the vanilla frosting.
It's easier to drink than it is to chew.
That's
No,
true.
dude. I'm not.
You just chug that.
That's a good question. Would you rather eat poop or drink poop? Larry?
No.
Ben?
Yes.
Diz?
Well, I mean, even when it's liquid, there's still gonna be like some chunks. So you're kind of in the middle. But yeah, I'll go with drink.
Put that jank in an ice tray.
Jankum?
How relevant.
All right, let's get out of here. Let's go around the circle. Larry.
I'm dead, and you can find me on Twitter at Lair Hunts Zombies.
Dizzy.
I don't do much, but I'm on the Xboxes.
Don't do much.
Trading hand grenade.
I'm Luke. You can find me on Twitter at TK from Antioch, on Xbox Live at Download a Hoagie, on PSN at Lodger Blackman. This is the Player 3 Podcast. Keep it locked over here on youtube.com/Player3Podcast or on your iTunes, on your podcast service of choice for our E3 prediction show coming up later this week. We are the Player 3 Podcast. That's Ben Hankins.
Player 3 Podcast.
B3P. Commie. Oh, this show brought to you by Commiecast. Ingenuitive. You can hit stop recording now.
It hasn't moved.
He just keeps putting it on. Please hit stop.